show. I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré.
And this is BingeWorthy.
The show that tells you what to binge.
And what to delete.
Today we're looking at the long-awaited return of Will and Grace.
New episodes of Empire.
And Law and Order true crime, the Menendez Murders.
Cheers to Edie Falco's wig. Or perm. Or wig. Wig. Total wig, right? We'll get into that.
You're bad. Thanks to our host, Vinyl, in New York City. All right, Jess, let's talk TV.
Well, the groundbreaking sitcom Will and Grace is returning with new episodes after its series finale 11 years ago. It comes back Thursday, September 29th at 9 on NBC.
It'll be different this time.
Will it?
Yes, because all the other times we've done this, we thought it would be different, but this time we know it's going to be exactly the same.
And Angelina announced their divorce the same week my relationship ends? Selfish!
Karen,
What, honey?
what are you listening to?
Fox News.
I really like the return of this show. I was worried. I mean, how worried were you? It was like, I really loved those early seasons of Will and Grace. I gave up about 2/3 of the way when it was like a different guest star every week, and it was like, oh, you're not funny anymore.
No,
and
it's so funny.
The shtick had kind of grown old and everything.
What are you talking about?
So I was really nervous about this, version 2.0 of the show. I thought it was so funny. The four of them have such great chemistry together. I thought they have a single point of view. They're not compromising that point of view. They have jokes about like Jada Pinkett Smith and Mrs. Peacock from Clue. It's so specific, and I thought it was really funny.
Look, there are few bigger fans of the old era of Will and Grace than me. This foursome has this vibe and this force together. The show was incredibly well written, it was well acted, there was panache and wit and speed, and it was so funny. I lived for Jack and Karen.
Yes.
But I also loved the interaction between Will and Grace and how real and honest it was, even while it was funny. And there were just so many little moments where the actors just fit together so well. I was so just thrilled, and I was not worried because I'm like, these four are so deeply connected as performers that it's gonna be fine. I'm sorry, it's not fine. It's not funny, it's flat, something is missing. Whoever was writing and show running before and putting the engine in this great car, the great car is still there.
You mean the same people who are still doing the writing and the show running?
Something is wrong, something is missing. These episodes, and I watched all three, are not nearly as good as, and I'm not a Fairweather fan like you. I love the whole run.
You watched till the end?
Oh my God, when J-Lo was there, and this, and yes, it's a new gay icon every week. Look,
Yeah.
I love the show
You're a
so
better
much, people
person
thought
than I
I
am.
was gay, and I'm like, no, I just love Will and Grace. It's one of the great
Thanks for
sitcoms of the
clarifying
modern
that.
era. But it's not there. It's not witty, it's not sharp, it's not funny.
Oh,
it's not the intellectual force that it was before.
I wonder if you're picking up on, I think you definitely feel the effort to make the show relevant to today. They didn't want to just rely on the Will and Grace of the 11 plus years ago.
Okay.
They felt like they had to make jokes very Trump relevant, Melania jokes, all that stuff. But I think they succeeded in that. And I have to say, Megan Mullally is such a hero. She was brilliant in the first show.
Yes.
She is incredible in this new incarnation. I love her so much.
I think the Trump era is a really interesting and valuable fit for this group, and the way that Karen loves Trump and she's sort of putting that over them, and they're like these hurt progressives, like, oh, we almost had paradise with Hillary and now we don't. Now we're stuck here with this maniac. But even still, I want to design the Oval Office if I get the chance, even for this maniac. But I'm like, almost, I want more of that, or none of it. I'm just so
You can't want more of it and none of it.
No, either go all the way or do it less.
See, I felt like they went all the way. I was almost surprised with how far they went, because this is on NBC. There's a studio audience. There's a laugh track, which for me, that was something that was a little disorienting. I was like, oh right, this is a laugh track show.
Look, this for me was zippier, funnier, smarter, and more electric in the previous iteration, and I'm not quite sure why this one is not working. I'm thrilled that this group has their show back. I will watch it because this is television history, and I'm so connected to Will and Grace, I want to see where it goes. So I'll continue to binge this. But I was sadly unhappy with the first 3 episodes and felt like the the greatness of the show did not return from the break.
Listen, nothing is going to be as great as Will and Grace when you think of some of those great like season 1 or 2 episodes that were so brilliant. But look at all the shows that have been rebooted. Arrested Development, the Netflix seasons were terrible.
Right.
Gilmore Girls, the Netflix season was terrible. I mean, you have, it's not
hard
so
to reboot.
easy to reboot a show. And I just thought, this is not going to be good. And the fact that they pulled it off, the characters were so true to who they were. I thought it was really funny. I am actually looking forward to watching the rest of the season.
All right. So you're gonna.
I am totally binging this, not reluctantly.
Okay.
More jokes about the movie Clue.
Coming up next, we'll discuss the return of Empire.
Plus, Law and Order True Crime, the Menendez Murders.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is BingeWorthy.
We tell you what to binge.
And what to delete. The 4th season of Empire premieres Wednesday, September 27th at 8 on Fox.
He's suffering from a traumatic brain injury. He doesn't remember anything.
You saved my life. I'm fighting so hard to get you back.
I wish I could remember.
I promise you are still in there.
What happened to the fun, sexy, wild Empire that I loved? It's been gone for a couple of seasons now, right? I don't think I
Yeah.
got through the previous season.
Definitely not. I was
Right?
like, oh wait, somewhat like what happened to Lucius? Because I had to
Right, I
actually
stopped
do some
watching.
like Google what happened to Lucius. Literally
Siri,
like
what
that.
happened
yeah.
to Lucius?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, he was a big part of why I loved the show. I loved Terrence
Yeah.
Howard for a long time. This is just not interesting with him with half a leg, and he can't remember who he is, and they're all trying to
But
sort of
Demi
do-
Moore is there trying to like
Oh,
somehow help
God.
him. What is she doing on this
No,
show?
I don't know. There was an appeal to the show because it was family, it was music, it was glitz and glamour and drama, and that seems to have been gone. And this soap opera seems to have run its course. I think
Yeah.
it's beyond having run its course. I think it ran its course last season or maybe the season before. But
Yeah.
it's definitely running out of gas now.
It's such a bummer. It just feels like the show that started off with like there's a power struggle in the family, and how are we going to connect to our father, who's this larger than life patriarch who accepts some things about us, but not some certain things about us.
And how are we going to act alongside our mother, who is
Who is
shredding
the definition of
scenery?
larger than life, and like who's amazing. And it's just now it just feels like fight of the week. It's like, oh,
Right.
the Lions are getting together for dinner.
Right.
Who's gonna have a meltdown this week?
Right, who's gonna
And
do
it's so boring.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, really, you're gonna bring in Queen Latifah to promote Star
Right.
on this
No,
in the
it's a-
season premiere? Was just
It's
sad.
like it's a caricature of itself, and not even an interesting caricature of itself. And the real thing is, I don't feel like I have to see where it's going. Right?
No.
Like a bad soap opera can draw you along if you're like, okay, I just want to see where this character or where this storyline's gonna go, and you're stuck there, right? And
Right.
you're like, the show sucks, but I'll follow it anyway. There's not even that. And so
No.
I can jump out. I don't need to binge Empire anymore. I can delete and move on.
And what a bummer that Cookie is even so muted
I know.
in the season premiere, because even if you gave up on Lucius and you gave up on the brothers and like like Anika and like this one and that, Naomi
Cookie.
Campbell, like all of this stuff, you still loved Cookie.
She's one of the great characters
She's one of the
modern
great
TV.
characters of all time. I mean, absolutely. And I just feel like we're back, and she's like battling it out with like Demi Moore and her long braid. It did nothing
I mean,
for me.
it's the end of an era in that Empire was really a marker of what this era of television, which is in part a golden age for black television.
Right.
This was one of the shows that really sparked our awareness of that being the case, and that era will continue, but this show should be put out of its misery.
I know. I'm sad to say I agree. I feel like every season it's like, oh, am I gonna just stay invested in Empire? Am I gonna maybe I'll just skip a week between episodes. After watching the season premiere, I think I'm saying I'm out. I am
can't do it.
deleting this show.
Can't do it.
The Dick Wolf empire is branching into an anthology with Law and Order True Crime, The Menendez Murders. The series airs Tuesdays at 10 on NBC.
Keep your hands where we can see them.
2 counts of murder have been filed against Lyle and Eric Menendez.
Your parents left you $14 million.
Lyle bought a new Porsche, Eric a Jeep.
And I'll take the gold and the diamonds on the dial.
Maybe this is how the rich grieve.
I want to lead the defense for both boys.
This show should be called Law and Order True Crime. What happened to my wig budget? Because what is Edie Falco's wig? Josh Charles's wig? Oh my God! It was.
Wow.
I couldn't look
You're
away. It was
These
just.
boys killed their parents, and you're focused on the wigs.
I mean, all of them, and one of them really did have a wig. That's like one of the plots in the story. So many wigs. It's just like so many wigs. Of course, here, this was Dick Wolf's attempt to do a People versus O.J. Simpson American crime story. Dick Wolf is one of TV's great titans when it comes to bringing stories of crime to television. The Menendez brothers, the story of them murdering their parents in like this very Tony, neighborhood in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of fascinating story. It almost seems like this is a no-brainer. Of course you would make this, and of course you would revisit this case. You've got Edie Falco, Josh Charles, all in like real bad wigs. And how could this fail? And yet I watched it, and it just seemed so cheesy. The dialogue was just like, it was a real TV movie.
Yeah.
And it felt beneath them. Like, you should be able to do this better.
Yeah, it just kind of falls flat. There's something compelling in the actual Menendez brothers story, but in this telling, it's not gripping, it's not complex, it doesn't have me sort of, what's gonna happen?
Right.
The way we were with OJ, even though we lived it and knew what was gonna happen, there's just a spark missing here. And I don't mind the Edie Falco character as much as you do.
I don't mind the character, I mind the wig. Leslie Abramson is a fascinating character, although didn't you think it was a little bit, like, I was a little bit, like, the second she sees the brothers on a TV screen, she's like, they did it. It was like, really? Like, they have to, like, oversell their point?
I just, with the brothers, I neither hated them nor empathized with them. They just sort of did the worst thing of all, of just sort of, like, blobbing in the middle of just, like, I'm neither sort of, I'm not compelled to either end of the spectrum. And I should either hate them or be like, oh, they were wronged. But you are inspiring nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even their portrayals, everything was such a caricature. And every character was such a caricature. Like, even Josh Charles plays Eric Menendez's therapist. And even in his introduction, it's like Heather Graham comes in and she's just like, she's like flirting with him and he's having an affair. Everything just felt like a ridiculous, tawdry soap opera.
Yeah.
This was an actual case. There should be some subtlety to this. There should be some nuance to this. There should be some, like you said, a little bit of a gray area. They were like, we are gonna hit you on the head as hard as possible with our opinion of what happened to the show.
I mean, look, I can't in good conscience tell anyone to watch this. I'm totally deleting this. I know where it's going. I don't need this retelling. I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah, but it's funny because OJ, you knew where it was going, but you still wanted to watch every episode.
Well, it was a compelling retelling, and the story can be great, but the way you tell it has to be great. And this is not doing that the way the OJ folks did.
No, absolutely not. I'm definitely deleting the show.
Coming up, we'll look at the new animated comedy, Big Mouth.
And we'll decide who gave the performance of the week.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is BingeWorthy. We tell you what to binge.
And what to delete.
And definitely don't delete Big Mouth, one of my favorite new shows of the season. It's Nick Kroll and our friend Jesse Klein, and hilarious animation about kids who are dealing with puberty in the funniest way imaginable. The circus comes to Netflix on Friday, September 29th.
Hello?
Oh, good evening. Are you the puberty fairy? did you just call me? The puberty fairy? I'm the hormone monster. I'm just here to give your friend a nocturnal emission.
How come in all these videos, puberty for boys is like the miracle of ejaculation?
Oh no, that's the most I've ever made.
And for girls, we're just a yarn ball of aching tubes.
Oh my God. I have already watched this show 3 times, like the whole season, 3 times. It is so funny, it is so smart. The way they are dealing with these kids who are dealing with puberty, and they have hormone monsters that pop out, right? Nick Kroll is the one for the boy, and Maya Rudolph is the one for the girl, and to tell them to do the things that puberty tells you to do, your hormones are telling you to do. Oh my God, this show is so funny, it's so smart, and it's so sanctimonious about the way it deals with these kids. When the boy goes to masturbate and his hormone monster is like carefully helping him, like they're setting up like some proper ceremony and tradition ceremony. I love this show so much.
It is honestly one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. I think like every guy in the world should watch the first episode and you will know that you are hooked into this, and every woman in the world needs to watch the second episode.
Yeah, episode 2.
There is a dancing tampon musical number that is the greatest thing I've seen on TV in recent memory.
How about when the hormone monster is skull fucking Garrison Keillor? And then at the end of the episode, when they're like, oh, was that too much? Yeah, well, Netflix made me include it. Like, it's just so arch and meta and smart and funny. I love this show.
I loved it so much. I feel like, you know how there's one show every so often that you see and you're like, this is the show. When people say to me, what's the one show I should be watching?
Big Mouth.
That's how I felt when I finished this season. I was like, this is the show I want everyone to watch. It's so good. It's so funny. The voice cast is amazing. You mentioned Nick Kroll and Jesse Klein. John Mulaney's wonderful. Maya Rudolph. Like, it's just such a great cast.
And as they keep expanding the lens, like around the neighborhood, what are other kids doing in response to puberty? And the boy who's having like a full-on relationship with his pillow, who gets pregnant, and now he's trying to deal with like that and what that means. And this is just so funny. I mean, like, it really takes you back to, like, you know, those moments of puberty and the anxiety and the joy and the stress and the weirdness and the confusion. And like,
just even like the moment of being at a school dance and just like, how close are you going to get to the person you're dancing with? And you're the whole time you're like sweating because you're panicking for these animated characters. And by the way, nothing goes well. Nothing, because nothing ever goes well, like when you're going through puberty.
I mean, like, I go around telling people about this show. And I'm like, yes, the hormone monster makes the boy want to leave class and go masturbate. And people and women are always, well, what does the girl hormone monster do? And to be like, you know, she says, call your mother by her first name and throw her out of your room and go in the bed and lie down and cry until you can't breathe anymore.
And the getting your period stuff is so good.
Women are always like, yeah, that's about right. It's so funny.
It's amazing. I am so binging this show. I absolutely love it.
Super binging this show. Our pick for Performance of the Week is Sonequa Martin Green in the premiere of Star Trek Discovery.
Hello, Sarek. I'm happy to see you.
So many years, and still you allow emotional considerations to impede your logic.
They inform my logic. I need your help.
I assume the timing of the call was not coincidental. The quadrant reports a new star in the sky. What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
We've encountered the Klingons.
I thought she was so good. Of course, I knew her as Sasha on The Walking Dead, and here she is as the first lieutenant, and she's like, what I love about her performance in this show is that she doesn't try and make a joke out of it.
Right.
She is all in. You know how, did you see the Star Trek movies? You know, Chris Pine is a little bit like, he's kind of sarcastic, he's a little jokey, a little winky. She doesn't do that at all. Her character is earnest, she's thoughtful, she is like, wants to do the right thing. She wants to fight the good fight. Even when she's battling with the captain of the starship, she's amazing chemistry. I mean, her whole performance was just so spot on. It made me really want to engage with the show. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so it's hard to know if this is going to go, in the Mount Rushmore of the Star Trek, seasons or movies or anything like that. But so far, she's the reason I'm coming back.
Ooh, we're already talking about the Mount Rushmore of Star Trek.
We are. So now, since we're talking about Big Mouth, we're giving our picks for the best celebrity animated voice of all time. Who's yours?
Well, there's something special about what John Benjamin does, right? You hear him on Archer, on Bob's Burgers. He's not as good when he steps out from behind the microphone, right, and acts in front of the camera. When he is a voice actor, he is extraordinary. There's this great gravel and music to his voice. There's this great comic timing. He is probably the greatest voice actor of the modern era. He's just extraordinary. I could listen to him all day. He's so funny.
He is amazing. I think my favorite has to be Phil Hartman.
Incredible.
The late, great Phil Hartman, who, you mentioned about John Benjamin. Phil Hartman was so great in front of the camera as well.
Yes,
obviously, SNL, News Radio, one of my favorite shows. I think one of your favorite shows ever. But when I think of his work on The Simpsons, Lionel Hutz, Fat Tony, Jesus, he just he did everything, and he was so good, and you knew, he was one of the real MVPs of The Simpsons. That show would not have reached the great moments that it did without him.
That's it for our show. Thanks for watching.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré, and this has been BingeWorthy.
Cheers to making puberty funny.
It's always funny,
It's not
isn't
funny.
it?
No, it's painful.
So funny.
It's painful.
No, it's painful
like
for
white
you,
pants?
but when other people go through it, it's funny.
When you're a girl and you're like 13
That's
and
hysterical.
you haven't gotten your period yet and you wear white pants to school, it's like a daily terror.